Today is Tuesday, May 12th, and I apologize. I thought I'd be here Friday. I will be here this coming Friday, and that is my goal, is to do a video chat every Tuesday and Friday. And Medical Jobs was formerly Gold Medical Jobs channel was formerly Gold Medical Jobs. So we're the same, and hopefully new and improved. And our technology is always improving and so forth. So we thought this would be a better way to adapt, is to become the Medical Jobs channel. So thank you for tuning in. I apologize for missing Friday. And I really don't know how that happened. I think I got my days mixed up, and most of the day Friday, I thought it was Thursday. So I don't know where Thursday went. I went from Wednesday to Friday, and this is very odd. And my husband did the same thing. And he said to somebody, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And they go, no, it's Saturday. And he goes, no, today's Thursday. Anyway, so I apologize. I'm here now, and I will be here Tuesdays and Fridays talking about all things healthcare related. Primarily, Medical Jobs channel is a place for employees looking for employment in healthcare can find employers. And employers, if you go to the website, medicaljobschannel.com, you will find the very simple, easy, accessible way to get yourself on board with us. Very inexpensive. I think it's something like $27. And then you will be, your jobs will be posted. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And anyway, so go to the website and check it out. And if anybody wants to communicate with me, I'm kind of the RN component of Medical Jobs channel. And I have many, many, many years, 1970s actually, I became a nurse, and a long and varied career. And I love being a nurse. I'll never not be a nurse, whether I'm actively clinical or administrative, whatever I do, I'll always be a nurse, just like you're always somebody's daughter or son, whatever. So anyway, so yeah, please feel free to email me anytime to tell me what your concerns are, what your interests are, and we can broach those topics. My email, I think, is coming up on the screen, Rita@medicaljobschannel.com. That's MEDICALJOBSCHANNEL.com. And my name is Rita. So here's the thing. Our title today, our discussion, is about, in my opinion, the 3 best jobs for RNs to consider now, currently, and going forward, 2021 and 23 and 25, etc. So my humble opinion, based on a lot of research and so forth, and it's really hard to narrow it down. There's about 30 jobs that could easily be on that list, but to streamline it, I picked 3, and it also happens to be the title. 3 best jobs for RNs to consider now and later happens to be the title of Medical Jobs Channel's blog. So you can find that blog on Facebook and all these other areas as well. And I have not blogged. The last time I blogged, it was for Gold Medical Jobs, and it was January. And it was pre-disaster, pre-pandemic. It was, so many things have changed since then. I became a grandma. My beautiful 3rd youngest child had a baby girl, and I'm spending a lot of time with her because they all live here. It's a big family house. And so that happened. The pandemic happened. What else has happened since January? Those are the biggies. That's in my personal life and in our worldwide pandemic. And did that change things? Yes. We don't even know the extent of what the change will be going forward, but things have changed, right? We're home a lot, we're masked a lot, we're very, very sanitary, the general public, and our healthcare people are being worked to the bone. However, excuse me, in previous videos, we've discussed how this has affected the healthcare community in various ways. You know, the disaster and the tragedy caused a lot of loss and fear. And when I say loss, I mean that people lost a lot in their everyday lives. So healthcare, people in the front lines, the emergency, the first responders, etc., the nurses, the doctors, the ER nurses, the ICU nurses, the doctors, the respiratory techs, everybody involved in the care, down all the way down to housekeepers, right? So everybody, I don't mean to leave anybody out, x-ray techs, CNAs, LVNs, everybody has been focused on safety, on the community's safety. So they have been working extra hard. However, the loss is that they can't come home and have a normal family life. They have to strip down, they have to protect themselves, they have to protect their family, they have to isolate themselves. It's been very, very difficult for the healthcare community. And loss, another piece of the loss is that during this pandemic, a lot of departments have shut down. And I've talked about that too. There have been reassignments, there have been pay cuts because the hospitals are losing a lot of money. With the main focus being what it is. And see, now I'm using my scarf instead of touching my face. That gets itchy all the time. So there have been pay cuts, there have been reassignments, there have been furloughs, there have been, worst case, layoffs, okay? And that is because surgeries closed. They turned a lot of the surgical units into ICUs. It's just been a bit crazy. And so as the dust settles, as the virus, we have a little better handle because it's been change after change. I mean, daily changes, weekly changes, even hourly changes are occurring. My friend, my dear friend, who's a respiratory therapist, hasn't really even had time to breathe. And it isn't until she sits down and takes, you know, a day or so off. She had a couple, I think she had 7 or 17 days off. And that's when she could reflect. Somebody's coming in here. What's going on?
Okay, you got my question.
Yeah. So, making sure I'm reading my screen, checking up on me. Okay, so everybody checks on me. You know, I watch the grandchild, and the mother, my daughter, checks up on me all the time. Did you hurt her? Did she fall? I'm like, good grief. No. Anyway, I lost my place. So the layoffs and so forth have occurred because things have shifted, okay? Will they stay shifted? Not sure. You know, it seems like some of the hospitals are now finally getting their ORs running again, but those were busy ORs. Many, many doctors use those ORs for a variety of surgeries, in hospitals, out of hospitals. Some things are things that can wait. I mean, if you're not bleeding and you're not in severe pain where you have to be hospitalized for pain management, those were postponed. So the immediate necessary surgeries have been going on, but a lot of cutbacks have occurred. So I understand there in Southern California, some of the schedules are changing, but it's been really, really difficult for the healthcare community to adjust. They're either working too hard, they're in areas, they've been reassigned to areas. I was even hearing, I think it was in Minnesota, that dental techs were brought in to work in the labs because they're doing blood gases and so forth, because the respiratory therapists were so overwhelmed and so forth. I've heard of, well, you hear some of it on the news, you know, doctors getting their licenses sooner, and a variety of things have been happening. You know, bringing in healthcare staff, doctors, nurses, etc., out of retirement, incentivizing. Travelers have been reassigned. Assignments were cut, they were reassigned, and so forth. So it's been a little crazy. And what I thought of, because what we do is we post jobs, right, on Facebook and so forth. Our clients who are hiring, the jobs are there. So go and look. If you're a nurse, if you're a respiratory therapist, if you're a nurse practitioner, if you're a PA, please check out Medical Jobs Channel, www.medicaljobschannel, and see if there's anything there for you. Employers, very, very easy and very, very inexpensive for you to be there. So you all can find one another. Skip the red tape, skip the recruiters, skip the long, time-consuming, traditional way of hiring, and just check us out. I mean, you're on the internet at some point in your day, in your work day, in your personal day. So please check us out, Medical Jobs Channel. Enough about the advertisement. So the title, 3 Best Jobs for RNs to Consider Now and Later. The first and foremost, probably have talked about this before, is education. I know you love being in the ICU if you're an ICU nurse, or whatever area you've chosen and you love so much. Your expertise is so valuable. And what's happening, the nursing shortage, I don't have my statistics. I mean, between now and 2020, like 6 million nurses are needed. So you're needed. Okay, that's good news too for the nurse graduates. There's going to be way more opportunity for you, precepting and so forth. So the biggest one, I think, let me tell you, is to become a nurse educator. You can be and I don't know what your degree is, but whatever your experience is and whatever degree you carry, whether it's the BS, your master's, an associate's, a doctorate, I think that the employers will work with you based on what you bring to the table. If you've spent 15, 20 years in the ICU, your knowledge is valuable, so valuable. And so, yeah, let me read a little bit of what I jotted down here about education, okay? World Health Organization. Yeah, 6 million. 6 million more nurses to achieve global health targets. As global health systems creak under the strain of the coronavirus, a new report shows that there are not enough nurses to meet global development goals on health. That's been the case. It's worse now, okay? So why do I move the cursor? Yeah, even without the global pandemic, we've been needy, okay? Worldwide, not just here in the United States. With that many nurses needed, nursing educators are in high demand for the training of RNs, LPNs, LVNs, CNAs, MAs, demand for nurse practitioners, demand for respiratory therapists, for physician's assistants. They're all there, and they need to be educated. They need to be trained. They need mentorship in the clinical areas. They need all the training that is required to become a nurse today. So yeah, some of those educators are working in the hospitals with the preceptorship. Many of them are working at the universities and the nursing programs. I can count on one hand right now the nurses I know that are involved in that field, teaching CNAs, teaching RNs, teaching LVNs, clinically, classroom, all of it. So that's a huge, huge need, and it may not be what you've been doing, but consider it. Consider it. If you consider nothing else, consider this. How much, if you're like my age, which is old as dirt, what our kids know, what the generation or two following us know is so different than what we knew and what we learned. I got certified. I got a grandparent certification prior to this grandchild coming into the world in March. And yeah, things have changed. And our kids, my kids, are the millennials, and they have so much information. I mean, even myself, there's like Google at your fingertips constantly. So their worries and their concerns are kind of hyped up because they just have so much information. The way we used to take care of our babies and make them comfortable and put them to sleep and so forth, never, never, never put them on their tummies. Don't even put them on their sides. Don't put a blanket over them. You know, it's just a whole different world. Even the way, and I've been a nurse for many, many years, from the 70s to date. The 1977 is when I got my license. 1977 is when I became licensed, and it's now 2020. But the way that I used to, oh, what's the word? I want to say cuddle. No, swaddle. The way I swaddled my babies has changed. It's a different method. My son-in-law is fantastic at it, but we're actually just about out of the newborn. I think it's the first 29 days are considered newborn, and then you become an infant. So we're out of it. She's 7 weeks, and we saw a little change in the last week or so. She doesn't require swaddling as much. The weather's getting warmer, but the method of swaddling has changed. So it's just wild. There's so much to be learned. And the reason I bring this up, as I mentioned, jobs coming up, is that it will probably require training. It will probably require a different technology, using a different technology. Unfortunately, the hospitals are not all uniform in the different programs that they use. And new devices, robotics, and so on. So many things for years in nursing and healthcare did not change, and they are now, and hopefully for the better. So, so I applaud it. Not World Health. Who did I get that information from? Please check out the blog on Facebook because it's more detailed. Oh, Forbes. Forbes was saying that we should become, in order to be successful, become comfortable with the notion of constant training, learning, retraining, and maybe even, you know, choosing reskilling ourselves in something completely different, right? So, so you may have never thought about education or becoming an educator, but there's a need, and that need will continue and will grow. And so that's the first on my list for a best job to consider. And what's second? I think I remember. Yeah, the second one is to consider long-term care. That has been a growing area prior to coronavirus and will continue to grow. It is something like, for CNAs, it's growing like 40-something% in 2020. What did I say? 40? Did I mention a percentage? But it's growing by leaps and bounds. I don't know if I mentioned a percentage. Let's see. Yeah, the need for RNs. This is in long-term care, and I want to get into this a little bit too. It's not just RNs, but MDS RNs. Something to consider. LVNs, CNAs. The need here is huge. Yeah, 43% increased need for CNAs for senior care. How about that? Senior care, long-term care, skilled care, long-term acute care, so many options. Assisted, you know, minimal assist seniors. All of these areas need the nursing component, need the healthcare component. And yeah, so the percentages of raises in those positions and jobs starts at between 12 and 15% for the RNs and as high as 43% for the CNAs. So consider any of those areas in long-term care. And it doesn't just mean hands-on or supervisor and so forth. It means maybe policy making, right? It means maybe informatics. It means working with corporations that are seeking to improve, and they do need to improve because safety is huge. I am so fortunate that my mom is a minimal assist, but she had a huge stroke, and that where she is, that and houses probably close to 300, high 288 or close to 300 seniors divided into minimal assist senior residents, a little more assisted care, skilled nursing, rehab, and memory care. So the biggest portion is the senior living. And then the second biggest would be their skilled and rehab, physical rehab, and then their the smallest portion of the facility where she lives is their memory care units. Nobody has gotten sick. No one has gotten the coronavirus, none of the staff, none of the residents, none of the patients. So they are just really doing a beautiful job. They are heroes in my book. And they are actually next to a small, it's a supermarket, but they call themselves a farmer's market that did have some staff become ill in the first couple of weeks. So, so they have that close proximity to being in a community where the virus was out there. And they were very, very well protected, and they still are. It's tough because they are sequestered, and we can only visit through a window. It's like a prison. You got to talk on the phone. You know, it's tough. But she hasn't held her great-granddaughter yet. Anyway, so consider long-term. So that's second on my list of best jobs. And remember, the Medical Jobs channel will be posting those jobs. The employers are there for you. The employees, take a look. Don't feel concerned if it's a shift from the work you've been doing. Just consider it, look into it. There's tons of information on the internet about these jobs, even tips and so forth on how to interview. I've talked about that before. I'll talk about that again. I've done a lot of interviewing in my life, been on both sides of the fence. So we can talk about that sometime. Okay, let's get to the third best job, because I don't want to just blah, blah, blah. You can go to the blog. It's got the same title, 3 Best Jobs for RNs to Consider Now and Later. Although there are way more than 3. These are my just top 3 picks. So we've already talked about educator. Nurse educators, absolutely needed. The next one is long-term care. Oh, and I did say I would talk about not just RNs, nurse practitioners, LVNs, LPNs, CNAs, but MDSRNs. So those are specific jobs, and in some states, LVNs qualify to be the MDSR nurse. So when I say MDS RN or MDS nurse, that is a nurse. The MDS stands for minimum data set, or it's really a nurse assessment position. And it is for the well-being of residents that are Medicaid or Medicare. Okay, so those nurses have a special set of certification for Medicare and Medicaid, which a lot of our senior population living into their 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond qualify for. And so certain certified nursing homes or skilled facilities or any of the above long-term places are going to be looking for the MDS RNs. And the salaries are pretty good for that too. So all of the nursing salaries are becoming more appropriate to the skill. So in certain states, they're as high as almost 100,000. Okay, administrative jobs can be different. It can go up, and it's going to vary from state to state. So not only is it something to consider because the need is so great, but it's a good living, and we all have to make a living, correct? So for the most part, we're born beautiful instead of rich, right? Okay. Anyway, well, on to the third job that I wanted to mention is telemedicine. And telemedicine has been around for a while, but is blossoming. So, for example, there can be telemedicine practices that are specifically for seniors, okay? And then there's telemedicine for travelers. There's telemedicine. It is out there, and it is super helpful, and it's been super helpful during this COVID, and we realize that it can work. And so the telemedicine teams, the doctors, the nurses, the MAs, the CNAs, the people involved in telemedicine are becoming more skilled, and then those skills are growing. The genre itself is growing. So I picked that as the third best job to consider if you're considering a switch. And maybe if you're a new graduate and you're thinking, gee, where's the future? Where's the future? This is 3. I could have easily named 30, maybe more, but I just wanted to give you a taste. I want you to check out Medical Jobs channel, because we will be posting jobs. And what else do I want to tell you about telemedicine? I wrote a little tiny bit about it in the blog. Yeah, training for now and going forward in telemedicine is a good idea. Nurses can monitor patients' oxygen levels, heart rate, respiration, blood glucose, more. Patients can contact their nurses through their healthcare provider, through their physicians, through their primaries, through referrals. So it is growing, and it's becoming more like specific and specialized. As I said, telemedicine specifically for seniors, telemedicine specifically for orthopedics, and so forth. So that is a really cool area. And not always, but sometimes you can actually have the option of some remote work, which is like what I am doing. I am working from my home office, and I don't have to drive and go into an office to reach the community. Not always. I mean, sometimes there are centers where you do that work. It could be a multifaceted job, you know, where you do some clinical while you're doing telemedicine. It could be, there's so much. It is a growing, not that it hasn't been around, but that it is blossoming. It is coming into its own, and something to consider. Maybe, you know, maybe you've been working really physically, you know, on orthopedic units or ICUs and ERs. They can be actually physically draining, as well as mentally and psychologically and psychosocially. You know, those jobs, they wear you. They wear you. You love them. We're crazy people, us nurses, but we love it, but it takes its toll, right? So you need to take a break. You need to take care of yourself. But I thought it'd be a good idea to just mention some jobs where there are huge, huge needs. Remember those percentages. They are anywhere from 15% and up. The need is there, nurses. The need is there for graduate nurses. All the licensed and certified disciplines, respiratory therapists. Oh my goodness, all of the wonderful therapies are growing by leaps and bounds. And I'm excited because my daughter's going into the occupational therapy world. And that's why I get to watch the baby a lot, so she can study a lot. But physical therapy, speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, CODAs, the certified occupational therapy assistants, the PTAs, the physical therapy assistants. What else? The speech language pathology assistants, the EMTs, the first line, the paramedics and the EMTs. All of these areas are growing. So it's not just nurses, it's healthcare. It's needed, it's noble. It's been a wonderful career for me, it continues to be. So that's what I thought I'd talk to you about today. I will be back on Friday and surprise you with a new topic. And sometimes when I don't take up too much time, I've taken up too much of your time already, but I usually will give you a joke, or I will give you a quiz, you know, a little like quick second pop quiz, and then I give you the answer, of course. So yeah, so there you go. So welcome to Medical Jobs channel, and we were formerly Gold Medical Jobs, and we're the same company, just growing and getting better. And that's what we have to do. We have to be open to continuing to learn in a world that needs us to be adaptable, right? And we have to learn to live with the changes, and some of them are good and some of them are harder, but you know, we can do it. We can do it. We can do it as a team, especially. Okay, so I'm going to sign off. I'm going to see you on Friday. So there you go. Have a great day. Stay well.